Hello everyone. We decided to go ahead and do a live stream today, and Nicole actually came up with the subject matter today, covering some homeschooling stuff and some family life, and we are going to be doing these more regularly. So I'm going to go ahead and let her tell what she is planning on talking about, and then I'm going to take care of the live stream for a moment because Facebook is still having an issue. So.
Okay. Hi. I haven't really formally introduced myself. I'm Nicole Jenkins or Nicole Knox, whichever. So, as you were told in the video yesterday, I met James, who was homeschooled, I was public schooled, and we have decided that through talking through each of our own experiences, we were going to homeschool our little one. I don't know if you can see him trying to peek his head through into the stream or not. But a topic that we got onto this morning was basically the amount of toys a child actually needs. Most people I grew up around think that their child needs an entire room full of toys to be content even and happy, and while that is obviously quite nice, it's not a necessity. He has just as much fun, if not seemingly more so, with just his blocks than with all of his toys laid out everywhere, because with all of his toys laid out everywhere, he trips over them, we trip over them, he has more to pick up, and we really just wanted to talk about how keeping the amount of toys down to a minimum actually, while you may view it as cruel at first because you're afraid they're going to get bored, if they do get bored, all you need to do is sit down and play with them, show them new ways to play with their toys, and by doing that you are actually encouraging their imagination for the future, and with a better imagination, typically the learning curve is better. They have more fun learning and they want to learn more and have a creative streak.
And I can say from personal experience, my mom's actually viewing this live stream right now. She probably remembers when I was little, I used to I could play with a whole bunch of stuff. I usually liked the boxes to the toys better. And I used to take dowel rods, and you probably remember this, Mom. I used to take dowel rods and color them and stuff, and other people would get in on helping me do that and color them and actually make intricate, at least what I thought was intricate designs and stuff, and I always had more fun with that. But you don't have to spend a whole bunch of money on toys and entertainment. In fact, he has stopped playing with most of his bigger toys that he had from his grandparents, and he's moved to playing with he got a wooden block set, and he will sit there and get absolutely ecstatic about that completely.
And the block set he has, in case you're wondering if it's really extravagant or not, it's not. It's your simple one that you buy at Walmart for $20 maybe?
Oh, less than that.
Yeah, it's your really simple one. But as you can see, the blocks are actually different colors. So when you get them, if you have a toddler or even a young one, not only can they actually play with the blocks, build things with them, but it can also help them teach them colors. Their colors and their shapes, and that's a more fun way to learn those than having to sit down and try to beat it into their heads what color each one is, because now when he first gets those out in the morning, he'll come to me or he'll come to James and he'll be like, "What color is this?" And we just go over them, and the rest of the day he'll just walk up to us and tell us what colors each one is. And I'm sure for everybody that either already has kids or has babysit quite often, you've heard the whole the whole thing where people say, I swear my kids have more fun with the box that the refrigerator came in than with like their entire room full of toys. That's something I've heard an awful lot, and I feel like that's because when kids have a lot of toys, their imagination gets crunched, but a big box such as one from a refrigerator, you can build a fort, a ship, a spaceship. You can make a whole lot of different things with it, and you can repurpose it a lot too. You don't have to worry about, I just spent $40 on this toy. They've had it for 2 weeks, and they could care less if I throw it in the trash. You don't have to worry about recycling all those toys that typically, at least with Dante here, he would break them or make them to where another kid wouldn't have near as much fun with them if we tried to donate them or anything like that. If it's a box or if it's blocks or something like that, the worst he's going to do with his blocks is color on them, and that can be cleaned off easily with a magic sponge from the dollar store that's $2.
Yeah, and another thing that got the conversation started, and we wanted to point the topic out, and we were going to ask anyone who views this video, whether it's in the live stream or whether it is in the after recording of the live stream that's going to be posted on Facebook, if you would find the, and I can actually bring that back up. We had a question at the beginning, 2 questions. Would you ever consider homeschooling as a viable option for you to pursue? And how much money do you think is the minimum needed to entertain your child? And those are the 2 questions we were going to talk about in this, and we were also going to, I'm sure, branch off into other stuff we usually do. But we had gotten to talking about it because he has started taking a liking to simpler toys and stuff like that. He has most of his toys that he has are upstairs because he never brings them downstairs. He doesn't want them downstairs. He just plays with those, and it's a lot easier to keep the house clean. I think you made the comment about how people say, well, their kids have toys all over the house and they can't keep their house clean and stuff, but you don't need that much stuff. And especially with homeschooling and stuff, you have other crafts. You have, if with toddlers, of course, you have coloring and learning your letters and stuff like that. We've been doing Hooked on Phonics with him in the morning, and he's starting to get there. He's a little stubborn about sitting in one place for too awfully long, but keeping your house clean. One of the things we're going to be streaming about is how to organize and minimalize your clutter in the house. We know very well we do not have it down ourselves yet, but we are learning new ways to do it, and I'm sure everybody would like their house to be as clutter-free as possible. At least I know we would, definitely. I'm sure eventually with these live streams and stuff, we're going to probably be releasing some ebooks and stuff like that we'll be uploading to Google Play or Amazon Books. I'm not sure which one yet. We haven't looked into a lot of this yet. We have a lot of different ways we're going, and we're trying to get organized ourselves. So that's one reason we're wanting to do these. Is if you have any questions or if you have any comments or ideas, we would love to hear your ideas for organization. Definitely.
Yeah. And real quick on the homeschooling aspect, a lot of people, even if they don't have a negative view on homeschooling itself, they think that even if they were to try to do it, that it takes too much time or it costs too much money. And actually those are the main 2 that I hear a lot of, because when you go to public school, it all seems very, very intensive teaching kids, but in homeschooling, I don't think a lot of people realize that you can go over, like for the simpler stuff with him, like your colors and your shapes and your numbers and your letters, you can go over that just throughout the day playing with blocks, or if he wants to color, if we start picking up toys, counting as we pick them up, you can incorporate it into really your entire day. It's not like you have to sit down for 8 hours straight and try to pound this information into their heads. You can just introduce it throughout the day in activities that they are already doing. As for when he gets older and we start schooling, English is one of those ones where he's gonna learn how to write and how to read, and we are already reading to him, and he has his own little books that he likes to flip through, and he's starting to read those on his own, and we also read him the Bible, and so he's picking up how to speak more clearly, and through reading he will also see how to write. And when he gets older, when it comes to writing, you can make it as something as simple as having your child write a letter to a relative if you want, or a letter to really anybody or anything, or have them keep a journal or something like that. It's not as intensive as some people think it is initially, because a lot of it you can incorporate into your day. Science, I'd have to say, I think science is probably one of the easiest and most fun ones it's going to be to incorporate, because you can just go outside and learn a whole bunch about science on a whole bunch of different levels. So if you have multiple kids, and say one's 3, one's 7, and one's like 15, you can go outside and just do different things with each kid and just get more and more in depth about the subject with each child. You don't have to have that separation of ages in order to teach them the subject. And another thing about the intensiveness of it is it's something James actually taught me, and that is, more is caught than is taught. And I think the best example of that I can think of is,
that was perfect.
Yeah, is the first time your kid hears you say a curse word, and they automatically start copying it over and over and over again. Well, you didn't teach them that. You just let it slip once and they latched onto it. And obviously that's the most common one people could identify, but I'm sure he could discuss a little more in depth on the more is caught than taught subject.
That one I am actually going to do a full-length video on. I'll be posting that later. I actually already have that in my queue. My mom is actually the one who told me that saying. I believe, I'm not sure, I think my grandma used that saying a lot. But it is true. It's been proven that if you listen to something enough, even in your sleep, if you listen to an audio track in your sleep, you'll retain the information. If you play it enough times and enough nights in a row, you will retain the information actually and remember it. And I actually have an example of that. I used to have tapes of a pastor named Daniel Bowler, and I actually used to put those on at night when I was asleep, and I would start remembering stuff. A couple days later, I would start remembering stuff. I did that when I was little, and when I into my teenage years. And I was also going to comment, I remembered my mom and my sister and a lot of people in my family have all homeschooled, actually. I think all but one sibling homeschools. Yeah, I think all but one sibling homeschools. And there's back to the ministry stuff, and if you're wanting Christian curriculum for homeschooling, that's another thing I don't think a lot of people put together, is that there is Christian curriculum out there. You don't have to go with secular homeschooling curriculum. There's a set, we're brand new to this homeschooling thing ourselves, but we're kind of doing this as we go along. But there's a curriculum, I think it's called Keepers of the Faith, I believe. My mom and my sister, I know, definitely have those. I think she just posted. In answer to your question, homeschooling. 1 second. In answer to your question, homeschooling viable? After doing it for 26 plus years, and years, a resounding yes. And how much to entertain your children. Children can be entertained in a variety of ways for free. Outdoor play, nature, walks, museums, parks, recycled items, boxes turned into castles, leaves and things found in nature turned into art projects, etc. Would love to stick around, but I've got to get to the library, okay? Oh, yes, I forgot you had the library program today. We're actually, I think, going to head down to Liberal here in just a bit. I'm not sure if this is your second one today or not. I don't think we're going to make it, so.
It is your second one.
It is. Well, I will see you later. But back to what I was saying, you can find Christian homeschool curriculum. In fact, I think one of the companies that does it is Becca Homeschool. And Nicole, I think, is getting some of her stuff out. But Becca Homeschool has Christian curriculum, but that's an error misconception, is that when you're teaching your kids at home, you don't have an option for Christian curriculum, because you do. There is faith-based curriculum, and there is Bible-based curriculum, and Scripture-based curriculum, and there's hundreds of companies, I'm sure, that do it, but I have some specific ones off the top of my head that I can think of. Becca, Answers in Genesis, the Kent Hovind Foundation, and
Rod and Staff is what we have, and these are part of their pre-K set that they have, which, if you can see our little one in the back there, he's carrying around a yellow book, and that one is titled About 3, and that one just has him doing basic line drawing and counting and matching the same image pictures and just basic stuff. Can I see that one? Hey, let me see this one. Alright, this is the one he's carrying around, and the one that he's actually actively working in. As you can see, it's just simple drawing straight lines, and then as you get further, draw diagonal lines from object to object, and each one has a little narrative at the top that you can read to them. It also has shapes, just your basic beginner information that you would see in preschool.
My mom just reminded me what the other one was I was trying to think of. Alpha and Omega Publication Homeschool Division. They have a lot of curriculum to... Oh. Hold up. Here you go, Mom.
Here you go.
But back to what we were talking about. That's the curriculum, and you don't need a lot to do a lot. I guess would be the best way to put it.
Yeah.
You don't need a lot to do a lot. I know a lot of people think. I know some people say that, homeschool curriculum costs a lot of money. It's really expensive to get started homeschooling. There is a way to go about it that makes it that way, but there are ways to go about it where it is not nearly as expensive as most people would think, and probably less expensive than public school.
At least with bare minimum, paying for your child's lunch and breakfast every day. I remember when I was in high school, and I graduated in 2014, and by the end of my high school years, for breakfast and for lunch total was $3.75 a day. So
And how many days?
that's $3.75 a day, 5 days a week from August to May.
$3.75, 5 days a week. So it's $20 a week. If it was every week, that would come out to almost $1,000 a year just for lunches, and that's bare minimum just for that. Which, come to think of it, actually, we were talking to family the other day, talking about the prices, and one of the things that we were talking about was the price of homeschool curriculum, and $1,500 a kid. Well, Now it's down to $500, and that's if you're just paying for the lunches. So homeschooling, the problem with homeschooling, and I'm going to step on a few people's toes here. The problem with homeschooling is, I'm keeping quiet in this because I have a tendency to open my loudmouth Italian mouth. So the problem people have with homeschooling is not the fact that they can't afford it. It's the fact that usually one or the other parent doesn't want to stay home and do it, and they don't want to have the responsibility of having the kid around 24/7. It has nothing to do with finances. I could sit here and argue with someone all day about that. And in the end, you kind of cut even either way you do it. Because you're going to be paying for curriculum, you're going to be paying for this, you're going to be paying for food, and like that. $500 extra at bare minimum that you'd be paying more for homeschooling. Well, one thing you could do to close that gap a little bit is start buying in bulk. Start buying in bulk. Start stocking up. Do things that cut down on the cost of your home living. You know, the other day I was talking to somebody, and I'm not going to name a name here, but I was talking to somebody, and they said they make $2,500 every 2 weeks, and they don't have enough money to live. For bills alone. That's not including food. They were having to get a loan for food and for necessities around the house because that wasn't enough for them. Well, I've proven it before. I can live on $200 a month. Not saying that I like to, but I've lived on $200 a month. I've lived on less than $200 a month. I'm sure there's people out there who've lived on much less than I've lived on for a month that have a family. Not saying that I don't have a family, but I'm saying people who have like larger families, 5 or 6 kids and stuff like that. And my growing up, my parents, I don't remember how much we were making, but it wasn't $2,500 over 2. It wasn't even $2,500 a month, and we were all probably a lot better off for it than these people who think that they don't have enough money, and they put all their time and focus. They make excuses. That's what I'm trying to get to, and that's what's going to step on everybody's toes. Is they make excuses because they don't want the responsibility, but yet they continue making the excuse. I would rather somebody say, I don't want to homeschool my kids because I don't want to have them in the house all day. I don't want them bothering me. I could respect that a lot more than somebody saying I can't do it for financial reasons, because I can guarantee you that you're going to be spending a lot less money homeschooling and having your kids in the house and learning to budget and learning to Dave Ramsey. Get a hold of Dave Ramsey. Get a hold of his blog. I have a list of resources a mile long I could give you if you actually want to make that step and make that change. I know a lot of people who can give you a lot of information. I can give you a lot of information on how to change your style of living so that you will have plenty of money to do whatever you need pretty much on any budget you have. It doesn't matter how low the budget is, and I'm not joking about it. It doesn't matter how low the budget is. Actually, Nicole and I, we've been budgeting and starting to learn to buy in bulk and buy at the best prices and stuff like that, and on every $200 we spend, we talked about it. I actually figured it up though later, that every $200 that we spend on groceries that would last most people, because I've been asking people, about $200 in groceries could last a month with most people. But for every $200 in groceries that we spend, we have stocked up for 2 to 3 months of living. And that's not, and we don't just buy like a 5-pound bag of flour. We don't just buy we buy a 15 to 25 pound bag of flour. Right now, I'm looking over here to look at it. We have 2 25-pound bags of flour. We have sugar. We have necessities to actually make good, wholesome, homemade food instead of, you can go out and get a 25-pound bag of flour for, what is it, $7.88 at Walmart. For $7.88 at Walmart, you can get a 25-pound bag of flour, and then let's say $10 for all the other ingredients you need. I'm talking baking soda, baking powder, sugar, like just yeast, the basic yeast, stuff like that, for $10 to $15 more. So that comes out to about $25. For $25, you have enough stuff to, I did the math on this already, for $25 you have enough to make with the recipes that we use anyway. I'm sure there's other recipes that would cut it down a little bit or stretch it out a little bit more. You can make approximately 29 loaves of bread, and I'm not talking about little loaves of bread or like really fluffy loaf. I'm talking about actual bread. You can make 25 huge loaves of bread for $25. Well, how long is 25 loaves of bread going to last? It's going to last for a while, but that same $25, if you went and bought frozen dinners, would be, what was it we did that one day? We looked, it was like 3 days worth of meals, and that's for 2 meals a day. And that's for just one person. 25 loaves of bread compared to 3 meals, for 2 meals a day for 3 meals, or maybe depending on the brand you buy, 3 meals a day for 3 days. But you can save a lot of money. You don't have to spend so much on things just to save time. And if you're wanting to save time by buying things like frozen dinners, meats that are extremely expensive, and all this stuff, if you cut down how much you're spending and get basic necessities that you can make good food with, you may not save time in the short run, but you're going to save a large doctor bill in the future. Definitely. And I'm going to be doing full-length videos on this in depth, a little bit more organized, with all of my facts actually put up on screen so that I can actually do comparisons and give you the proper information with the proper. I'll even upload receipts from our shopping trips to show you what we do to accomplish that. Right now, our house is stocked up for easily 5 months, and that was on one shopping trip. And there are ways you can do it. And if you'd like more information on it, please message me, please message her. We can give you more information on it. We're going to be getting our knowledge base up. We're going to be learning more because we want to get our house in order. We want to get our house stabilized completely, even more stable than it already is. I want to, by this time next year, my goal, and I would like anybody who wants to take this challenge with me, I am more than welcome you to go ahead and take this challenge with me and do this with me. Have a support group to lean on and actually talk to and discuss ideas and stuff, is by this time next year, at no point do I want my household to have less than 8 months supply of everything needed, and not just including food, everything needed in the house at once, and no less than a $1,500 savings account. That's my goal by this time next year, and I'm not going to make it a goal and try to reach it. I'm going to reach it. Sorry I rambled.
Just a real quick thing on it. It touches on homeschooling. It also touches on what he just spoke about, and that is when we go out and we buy those frozen dinners or the pre-made, the pre-cooked stuff. It's all very instantly gratifying, but it also makes you blow through like $15 worth of money that you could have spent on other things. And you know, when you have kids, you typically want to get the quick, easy to make meals, at least for one meal out of the day. And when we do that, we also we tend to cater to what our kids will and will not eat. And there is something to be said for making your kid try something, even like those times, well, I don't like this. Have you tried it? No. Well, then you're gonna sit there, and not only are you gonna try it, but now you're gonna eat a full serving of it. When we make sacrifices, we actually end up helping ourselves, and by that I mean we have a lot of food. We have a lot of flour, a lot of sugar, spices, canned goods, and frozen meats and vegetables and everything else like that. But how we first started off, because at first we barely had any food in the house. When me and him first got together and moved in and everything, all we had was flour and sugar.
This wasn't when Dante was here. This was before we got him.
This is when he was This was when he was in the care of my grandparents. When me and James first got together, we had basically the stuff to make bread, and that's it.
And lots of ramen noodles.
And lots of ramen noodles, yeah. So it's taken us a little bit to get to where our house is fully stocked, but we have done it. And one of the ways we have done it is we have bought things like flour, rice, beans, dry pasta, and everything else. And at first, you may get tired of eating the same meals or bland food like just bread or pasta or rice or beans, but once you have that stockpile, that back stock, then you can start buying all the things that really make food flavorful and that you can experiment with, like the fresh vegetables, the frozen meats, the spices that you barely use but you love using every now and then, you know, the dairy and the cheese and everything. But it does pay off extremely well to sacrifice a gourmet palate for a sensible palate until you are able to actually afford to buy that, because then you're not buying the entire thing, you're just basically you're buying the additives. And that makes it a lot more manageable, and it frees up so much money. It is unbelievable. I was absolutely shocked at how much money that we actually ended up freeing up by stockpiling on the basics. And now when we go to get to the food, what we're really doing is we're buying the additives. We're buying like 1 or 2 ingredients that we want for one specific meal or dish. We're not having to worry about buying everything because we have mostly everything. The only thing that we are really spending money on regularly, when I say regularly, I'm talking bi-weekly about, is perishables. So your vegetables, you only got your vegetables. I'd say that's about it, because we've stockpiled on meat and other things as well. So
yeah. Sorry, I was checking. If anybody has anything they want to comment, I actually just found out we can do group chatting on Facebook now while the video is going, so I can actually talk to you all and actually respond. But yeah, I agree, and yes, I'm still on point. But one of the things that distracted me was a thought went through my mind. It was that somebody told me here the other day, and I'm not gonna say who it is. They told me that, well, you can't force your kids to eat just vegetables. You can't force your kids to just be vegan. Well, no, it was not like that. Well,
for the one food, I'm saying.
Well, yeah, for the one food. But the thing is you can't force your kid. Obviously, you can't force them if they're absolutely stubborn. You can't force them. But here's the thing: they said you couldn't force your kids to be vegan, or you couldn't do. You don't have to force them. You have to lead them to it. That's called training. That's called being a parent. Any parent who doesn't do that, I'm sorry, doesn't know what being a parent is. Now, not to say that you're a horrible parent because you didn't do that. It's just you don't know how to do it. And just, I don't know how to be an electrician, but that doesn't mean I'm going to get offended at somebody saying that I'm not an electrician, or I'm not a good one, because I know I'm not a good electrician. But here's my point that I'm getting to. They said you can't force them because, well, that could be considered child neglect and all this stuff. Well, wait. I'm going to be called a neglectful parent if I make my kids eat nutritious food. Okay. What is wrong with that statement? What is wrong with that statement, and why would anybody in their right mind ever think that that is and I'm sorry, if I had somebody come up to my door and say, well, we were told that you have not been feeding your kids what they want to eat, and all that, because I've actually heard of that happening in this area, actually. If you're not feeding your kids nutritiously and all this stuff, the first question out of my mouth would obviously be, okay, what am I feeding my kids? And when they said, we don't know, that's what we're here to talk to you about, that's when I would ask, okay, Well, I'm feeding my kids fruits and vegetables, which I believe even a public school has a chart of the basic food groups
pyramid
that are nutritious. Now, I'm sorry, going to McDonald's every single day may be what the kid wants, but which one is more neglectful? Me having my child and leading them to being in better health, or giving them what they want and neglecting their future health? Which one is actually more neglectful? And that's a question I guess I would like some people to put their comments and chat about it on here, or send me a personal message if you have a problem with this, or if you like what I say. I really could care less if you don't like what I'm saying, because the honest truth is, it is absolutely true. Anyone who lets their kid eat fast food and pre-made meals all the time, that is neglectful to their health, and it is why obesity and diabetes and all these health problems have become such a rampant problem in America, is because no one wants to come off cruel, or they don't want the responsibility, so they just do the easiest thing possible. I can't do that personally, because it's a issue of conscience with me, because I know that anything I put into my body is going to affect my future, so why would I want to do that to my children? And that's the tangent that was going through my head while she was talking about that. Is something she said made that click, and it just hit me. Why? And this is the question I posed to everybody that I would like people to comment on, and I would like people to comment on any of this, really, but this specific one is, why is it considered neglectful to tell your child no to something? Why is that neglectful, and how is that in any way wrong? That is called discipline. That is called parenting. It's called bringing up children to be obedient. And the Bible says very clearly, very clearly, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old he will not depart from it. Well, you train up a child that don't eat McDonald's growing up, and there's a very good chance that he's going to grow up eating McDonald's. I mean, that's just common sense. I don't know if anybody ever has done this. I know people are like, oh, I am too squeamish, I can't watch that because I don't like blood, blah, 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 blah. I dare you, though, get on YouTube and look up an open heart surgery of a quadruple bypass. Watch about 8 of those, then watch how they make food that goes into your body, that goes from the factory to McDonald's, and then read about the process of what they feed the animals and how they process the meats that go into what you're eating, and tell me that you cannot look at tell me that you can, if you can still tell me after that point that you can look at fast food and be okay with eating it and it not make you sick to your stomach every time you see it, then it's going to take an act of God to change your opinion about it. But seriously, it is a problem. It is rampant in America, and it needs to be put into. And that is one of the things that I'm going to be doing my actual full-length, fully edited, concise videos about. These videos, I worried when I started streaming with Nicole that, oh, I need to be concise, I need to be to the point. Well, no, that's what my videos on YouTube are going to be for. That's what my full-length, concise videos are going to be for. These videos are going to be for me and her both to ramble and rant on about what we have to say, and then we can back it up with our videos that are going to be concise and have the information in the video before they're released completely. But no, seriously though, go on YouTube and just look up quadruple bypass surgery of, I believe the video title that I saw last was quadruple, here, go play real quick. A quadruple bypass surgery of, I think it was a 45-year-old obese man. And it is insane how much plaque buildup there is in that man's heart. And then watch an open heart surgery, not even a quadruple bypass, but watch an open heart surgery of someone like that has been in an accident or something like that, but that was an athlete, and you will see the very, very, very big difference between how much fat and how much cardiovascular damage and plaque, and I'm trying to think of the word that I'm looking for, but I can't think of it. But you can tell a very, very big difference between healthy and unhealthy. So why is it neglect to make a child or try to lead a child to want to eat healthy. Why is that bad? Unless two reasons that it could be is that the parents are lazy, which I'm sorry, but a lot of parents are lazy. And second, it could very, very well be that the state and the government heads, and this is not conspiracy, you can go ask any politician at any point, and if he has any honesty or sense about him, he will answer this, is that laws are passed to protect the ability of foundations for medicine and medical research and medical physicians to make more money off of reoccurring patients. That is a fact. You can look it up in the law books, and I will actually this will be part of, again, I will rewatch this video and I will make sure every bit of information that I tell you I'm going to get is going to be in my next concise video on this subject. Anyway.
What I was trying to get to on that is can still be drawn from that is that if you make sacrifices in your food choices until you are able to get whatever you want virtually whenever you want, it does free up an awful lot of money for other household things. If your child's young enough, it frees up more money for diapers. If they're older than that, it frees up more money for homeschooling if you decide to go that route. It gives you a lot more wiggle room with your finances. And he pointedly asked about veganism in his rant, and I will say I grew up Southern Missouri, Ash Grove, Missouri, eating steak, potatoes.
Okay, you're good. Sorry, we had the internet drop real quick.
But I grew up eating that steak and potatoes and a lot of really fatty foods, and particularly fatty meat. Now, when I met him, he was vegan, was not a big fan of meat, still is not a big fan of meat. And so when I met him, I decided that I was gonna change my diet because I am so sick and tired of being sick and tired. I felt horrible all the time, and I could never figure out why. Like, I'm eating salad and all this other stuff. Why don't I feel good? Well, then he had me do one simple thing. He had me completely cut out red meat, particularly beef and pork. And as we've been together for this amount of time, we have even lessened the amount of chicken and turkey that we eat, although we do still eat it every now and then. Doing just that gave me so much of my energy back that it was surprising. And I will admit, when we get older.
Also remember, sorry, I'm interrupting. Also remember the first big change. I think it was one of the first was pop.
Oh. Yeah, and he just said one of the first big changes I made was from drinking regular soda to diet soda, because I decided that I wasn't going to have any more high fructose corn syrup. He's about to jump in because the automatic thing everybody goes
also,
to.
information, diet pop versus regular soda. Obviously, none is better. But if you're going to pick one, I do go with diet personally, and I will have more than enough proof to back up what I'm saying in my video that I'm going to be doing. So, but I will be right back. I need to take care of one other thing.
And I was saying that everybody latches onto about diet soda is the aspartame in it that is supposedly worse than high fructose corn syrup. And I will let him talk to you about all that because he is much more informed about that. I can only offer my firsthand dealings with the switch, and that is I don't feel as tired anymore, and I personally don't really even drink soda anymore. I typically drink water or unsweetened tea, Gatorades every now and then, but I don't really drink that much soda anymore. But I have noticed that cutting high fructose corn syrup out of my diet gave me more energy. And now that I haven't had it in a couple months, anytime I eat it, it makes me sick to my stomach. And that just tells me that can't be good. That cannot be good. If you stop eating something and then months later you decide you want to try it again, if it makes you sick, it's probably not good for you. You probably shouldn't be putting it in your body in the first place. But before we got on soda, when I was changing my diet to a more vegan diet, or what I would call a non-creatine, no creatine, which is no red meat. When I was first doing that, being an adult and being older, it tasted weird. It did taste weird. It wasn't like what I was used to or anything like that, but I committed to it. I decided I want to be in better health. What I've been doing quite obviously isn't working. So I will try this. And after a while, I started to like the taste of it. It didn't even taste bad at first. It was off. It was weird. And as I started eating more vegetables and more breads, more pastas, but really a lot more vegetables, I started enjoying it a lot more. And then I think it was about it was a while back. It would have been 4 to 5 months ago. We were given pork bacon by somebody. And I used to absolutely love bacon. So I'm like, I'm only gonna have a piece or two. It'll be okay. I started cooking it, and the smell of the pork fat made me want to get sick. It was horrible, and it was really horrible when we cook most things that have a lot of fat. You don't realize how much. I mean, obviously some of the fat is drainable very easily, but you don't realize how much fat is actually just being cooked into the meat. And if you ever get, like, for instance, a piece of chicken, like a chicken breast, cook it without cutting any of the white off, which is the fat or the tendon. Cook it with that, and then take a piece of meat from the same bag, cut that white off, cut the fat, the tendon off, cut any red areas that are blood vessels, cut that off, cook it, and you will have a very noticeable difference in texture and taste and how it makes you feel. But
another thing would be that we know a lot of people probably aren't going to watch the entire stream. If you do, thank you for watching the entire stream. This is not, we're not doing these streams to rant about your health, we're not doing it to attack not even to attack your health or to attack your beliefs or anything like that. All we're doing is giving information. We're more than open to conversation. I say conversation because I do not believe that everything has to be a debate. I think there can be conversations. I think there can be conversation about and maybe debating certain topics, but I think it can be done in a friendly way. I think it can be done in a very, very peaceful way. I think it can be approached a lot differently than most people do. You're wrong and I'm right. That's not how we're going to do this. I'm going to give you the information. I said in my last live stream that sometimes I come off aggressive, sometimes I come off very, very pointed to the point aggressive, and sometimes I can come off very, very like I'm being very pushy about what I'm saying, but and there will be things I will be very opinionated on, because if there is one specific thing about a subject, like I said about the parenting earlier, it is true that letting your kids be unhealthy or letting yourself be unhealthy is neglectful, whether it's on just your part or whether it's on how you grew up. But there are always ways you can change those things. That's the thing I always forget to lead into, is that I'm not doing it to attack. I grew up in a family also that did not eat the best when I was growing up. She grew up in a family that did not eat the best, but we're trying to get our lifestyles changed. I've always, well, actually not always. I've been into health now for about 5 to 7 years ish. 8 to 9 years ish. I take it back. And we want to. These topics that we're covering in this one are not going to be the constant topics we were going to be covering either. That's another thing, is don't think that when you watch our streams you're going to get the same thing every time, because every time it's going to be a little bit different. Our concise videos will be clearly labeled what the content is. It will have a description that will say what the content is. I'll even try to bookmark where the content of each topic starts in the video. I'll be uploading those to YouTube and then linking it on Facebook, Twitter, so also all my social media. But we're going to be covering tons of topics. Homeschooling. Now, homeschooling, I know some people are like, I don't want to hear about homeschooling. Well, homeschooling has multiple topics within that subject that can be covered, not just to do with homeschooling. You can branch off into a million topics off of homeschooling. I just saw that Timothy Thru joined our chat, or video. I don't know if you're still watching, Tim, but I wanted to say hi to you. I haven't talked to you in a while. I don't know if you remember me fully, but I was in a couple of your college classes that you taught. But we're going to be covering multiple topics. We're not just going to be like pounding it into everybody's head on one single thing. That's one thing I've always disliked about a lot of people on social media, is they latch onto one thing and they're right, you're wrong, that's how it is, and they stick to that so heavily. They get a large audience following, but it's not an honest audience. It's not an honest audience, because an honest audience are friends, and it's a community that builds and discusses and talks. And I'm specifically saying that, talking about, and yes, I used to be very wrapped into the Beachbody movement, and I'm sure this is going to get me a lot of crap from from some people, but that's okay. That is completely fine. Have your opinion. I'm going to have mine. But the Beachbody company really pushes health and fitness in a very one perspective, at least from what I can tell and what I've seen. If I'm wrong, please give me the information, because what I've seen is companies like that, companies, not even just them, companies like Beachbody, companies like Facebook, even, they push one thing, and when it's about one thing, it's about one thing, and they have a very set opinion. We are both open to opinion change if given information that is mind altering. Now, this is one thing I can say. Of all the topics we cover, that is true except for one, and that is ministry and the Bible. And if I am approached with information trying to disprove biblical context or disprove biblical scripture or anything on the topic of God or salvation or anything like that, I'm going to say right now, go ahead and do it. I'm always open for a great debate about religion, and I not only will have my own backing to back up what I am saying, but that is one thing I will not have my opinion swayed about. Now, I'm saying that as a disclaimer, because I don't want you to get the idea that when I say that we're open to changing our minds, we're open to changing our minds about a lot of things, but God is not one of them. That is not something we can compromise. That is not a compromise. It's not a bottom line that we're willing to compromise, and we're just not going to do it. Now, I'll be more than willing to still debate anybody who would like to debate me on it, or talk to me or conversate on it. If you are a Christian, you are a believer, and you come to me and you want to discuss topics about the Bible and about anything associated with it, any topic associated with it, I will be more than happy to discuss that. I will be more than happy to also try to give my view on it, and I'm not going to try to force you to believe what I believe. That is up to each person to carry out their own salvation, carry on their own salvation. But I felt like that needed to be said because I know we've had a few instances lately with people where they think that everything that we say if it comes from Scripture, it's only when Scripture comes up, funny enough, that whenever we say something about that, they get very, very, very blatantly defensive and offended at it. And the reason why that is because Scripture is offensive, and the cross is offensive, and salvation is offensive. And so it's inevitable that people are going to be offended, but I don't want you to get the wrong impression off the bat that I'm wishy-washy, I'm swaying with whatever form of doctrine or whatever comes along, because that's not what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be I'm working on a lot of video projects right now. I still have a lot of filming to do before I can release them, but I'm going to give clear and concise points and topics, and I'm going to try to get to the point in those videos so that it doesn't come off the way some of these streams might to people. Because in a live stream, I know one of the problems is we're trying to cover so many topics, and we're trying to cover subjects so quickly that we may not get the point across that we want to get across. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Please feel free to approach us. We're approachable people. We're a young couple who are learning ourselves. We're always willing to take advice, and we're always willing to accept advice. It doesn't mean that we'll take it, though. But I just felt like that needed to be said because of some issues that have arisen lately out of talking to people about things. It doesn't have to become a fight. It doesn't have to become a issue unless it is made an issue by lack of communication. I know we all have lack of communication. Definitely, I know I do. I know Nicole does. I know Dante does. And yeah, that's all I have to say on that. I just felt like that needed to be pointed out. Do you have anything else you want to cover? Any off the top of your head?
I think I've got everything. I think my brain's just about empty.
Okay, well, we will be streaming live again probably within the next couple days. We've kind of been making it. You know when the exit on this is, don't you? We have been streaming live now 2 days in a row. I don't know if we're going to do one tomorrow. There's a very good possibility off the spur of a moment we might. But thank you for watching. Also, Jeremy, Augusta, I am so sorry. I was going through and inviting a whole bunch of people, and you told me here a while back not to invite you to any more of the stuff I'm doing, and I apologize for the invite. I saw you just joined, so please accept my apology. I hit it, and as I hit it, I realized I invited you, so I apologize about that. But we'll be streaming within the next day or two, maybe tomorrow, maybe again today. It just depends. Let the Lord lead on that. And I think that's it. The next stream we do definitely is going to be ministry-based. It's going to be outreach-based. So if you want to get in on that, message me, and I will make sure I send you an invite for it 15 to 30 minutes beforehand. Or if you would like me to let you know what time we're planning on doing it before, then I'll go ahead and do that too. So, anything else?
Nope, I think that's it.
Okay. Well, I think we're done for today. Thank you for watching. I know this has been a little bit of a long stream. It's an hour and 2 minutes. We ramble. But I think we're going to go ahead and go and get off of here. And I would like to say thank you. I'm going to put the questionnaire back up for about a minute so that other people can see it if they are still on here. And we're going to go ahead and say goodbye.
Yep.
So.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Have a nice day. God bless you all.
Bye.